Billionaire's heartwarming test with black card reveals incredible unexpected truth from a maid. In the affluent suburbs of Chicago, Jack Moretti sat in the marble-floored expanse of his mansion, surrounded by the latest in tech and luxury. A billionaire at 45, he had everything: money, power, status, but nothing felt real. The shiny facade of power twisted his insides as loneliness clawed at him from the inside. The laughter of parties echoed in his memory, all hollow, each clink of crystal glasses a reminder of what he lacked: true connection. That he watched his reflection in a polished granite wall, wondering who he had become. Jack, once a bright-eyed coder, now felt like a character in his own virtual reality, missing the vibrancy of life's smallest pleasures. Desperate for change, he hatched a plan. Using his infamous black card, he would embark on a social experiment, an attempt to find meaning by connecting with everyday people, starting with one of them, a maid. Enter Maria, a single mother of two, fighting every day to make ends meet. When Jack first met her, her tired eyes held a fierce determination he hadn't seen in years. She poured herself into every cleaning task as if her children's future depended on it. Jack hired her, intrigued. Within days, he watched as she transformed his sterile mansion into a home, filling it with warmth and laughter, the kind he had long forgotten. In her presence, he felt a flicker of something deep, a growing sense of connection. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each shared meal, with every family dinner filled with laughter that echoed through the halls, Jack felt walls around his heart begin to crumble. Maria would tell stories of her struggles, her pride, and how she kept hope alive for her children amid uncertainty. Each word untangled something inside him, forcing him to confront his own emptiness. Then came the scandal. Jack's company faced public outrage over mass layoffs, a damning action fueled by relentless ambition. As hope dwindled in people's eyes, he quickly learned the painful truth: his empire was built on the backs of loyal people like Maria, and their lives had been casually upended. He reached out, trying to connect with her family, seeking solace in her wisdom. But the chasm between them felt insurmountable. His peers dismissed her, questioning her relevance. They didn't understand her strength, they didn't see her potential. Amid tense conversations, Jack experienced the urgency of life. Maria's world thrived on community, on loyalty, something he had forsaken. He felt like a stranger amid them, a man with power yet no true purpose. As he listened to Maria unveil her dreams, something deep inside him shifted. The weight of his choices grew heavier by the day. Would he continue to cling to a world that no longer fed his spirit, or dive deep into the one that offered a chance at authentic connection? Standing at the crossroads, Jack felt his heart race. Could he abandon the empire he built to embrace a greater cause? Or would he fall back into the alluring comfort of wealth, leaving behind the one person opening a door to the essence of humanity? Jack stood in the kitchen, the aroma of rosemary and garlic filling the air, a stark contrast to the sterile atmosphere of his life before Maria came along. He carefully chopped vegetables, contemplating the weight of his decisions. The rhythmic sound of the knife against the chopping board was a soothing balm, somehow grounding him. Maria entered, her usual bright smile lighting up the room, but today it seemed tinged with a shadow he hadn't noticed before. "What are you up to?" she asked innocently, a flicker of surprise in her voice as she caught sight of him in an apron. "Just trying to help out," he replied, his tone casual, but inside he felt the nerves twist into knots. He wanted to tell her everything: how drastically she had changed his perspective, how urgent her presence felt in his life. Instead, he focused on the task at hand, avoiding the truth threatening to bubble up. As they worked side by side, he decided to break the silence. "How is the school board meeting looking?" A simple question, but he felt the tension shift. Maria's shoulders slumped just a little. "It's tough. They're cutting back programs. Art classes they might close the after-school programs. Her voice was steady, but Jack could see the sadness behind her eyes. They were in a battle against a fading promise of prosperity, and her fight was becoming harder. The kids need those programs. They need something to hold on to, she added with a passion that resonated deeply with him. Jack felt his heartbeat thud at the realization that while he worried about stock prices and quarterly reports, Maria was investing all her hopes into a future for her children that seemed increasingly uncertain. You know, he said slowly, feeling the weight of every word, I want to help. I mean really help. His heart raced at the implication of what that might mean. Could he step beyond just a financial contributor? Could he become an advocate? Her eyes met his, surprise evident. Jack, you've already done so much. I don't want to impose. It wouldn't be imposing, he insisted, the thought sparking a fire in him. I can reach out to people. I can make calls. His voice paused as a new idea struck. What if I organized a fundraiser? We could use this mansion. We could get people to care about the community again. Maria stared at him, processing his words. The kitchen was thick with unsaid emotions, the air buzzing with hope and uncertainty. You really mean that? She asked softly. I do, he said, feeling lighter, yet heavier at the same time, heavy with the responsibility of what he was proposing. But excitement coursed through him, a feeling he hadn't experienced in years. She smiled, a genuine smile that made his heart skip. If you really want to, Jack, it could make a difference, a real difference, she whispered, her gratitude palpable. As they began to outline ideas, the conversation flowed, and with each passing moment, the distance between them seemed to shrink. He shared his vision of a bustling event filled with laughter, community spirit, and the kind of warmth he had felt from her. But as the conversation deepened, so did the reality of their worlds. Would his plans unravel the intricate balance he had begun to build between them? Could this event bridge their differences, or would it ultimately widen the gap? As the afternoon sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the room, Jack felt a rush of clarity mixed with fear. He was ready to step deeper into this unfamiliar world, to support Maria's fight, but the question remained, would he be accepted as one of them, or would he always remain the wealthy outsider? Feeling the weight of the unknown settle in his gut, he took a breath. What if this was his chance to change everything? He turned to Maria, her presence igniting a spark of determination within him. Let us do this, he declared, a fervent conviction in his voice. We'll show them what this community can achieve. But as her smile faded slightly, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much larger challenge. Would stepping into Maria's world be as simple as he hoped? Or would it confront him with the scars of his own privilege? He didn't know yet, but he was willing to find out. The road ahead was uncertain, but Jack felt the thrill of possibility crackling in the air. What would it take to truly belong? The next morning, Jack woke up with a mixture of excitement and anxiety swirling in his stomach. He couldn't shake the feeling that today was going to change everything. The fundraiser idea had taken hold of him, and now he had to turn it into reality. As he got ready, he looked in the mirror, focusing on the man he was becoming rather than the financial giant he had always been. After breakfast, he picked up his phone and began dialing numbers. He reached out to friends, former colleagues, and people in the community, pitching his vision of an unforgettable event. Each call stirred up a new sense of purpose. Yet, with every yes, I'll help, came an equally unsettling but as they expressed skepticism about a millionaire throwing an event in a working-class neighborhood. Just make sure it's not a charity party, one acquaintance warned. People around here don't want to feel like they're being rescued. Jack took the words to heart. This wouldn't be about him or his money. It had to be about the community. Later that day, he met Maria at the local cafe, a cozy place with chipped mugs and artwork hanging from the walls. She looked radiant, her hair shining in the light streaming through the window. His heart raced at the sight of her, but the nervousness about their upcoming plans settled in as he took a seat across from her. Okay, what is the plan? Maria asked, her voice laced with enthusiasm yet tempered by uncertainty. "We need to get the community involved," he said, excitement tingling in his fingertips. "I want to have local artists showcase their work, maybe music from the talented youth. We could do a big barbecue, get everyone sharing their stories. It's about more than just fundraising, it's about bringing people together." She nodded, her eyes sparkling. "That sounds perfect. But we should also make sure everyone feels welcomed and recognized." Jack felt a warm rush at her support. It was monumental to have her by his side, grounding him. As they brainstormed ideas, a plan began to take shape before them. They discussed potential partnerships with local businesses, the importance of connecting with the schools, and reaching out to families who might need the programs the most. But even with their enthusiasm, Jack sensed some tension still in the air. "What's on your mind?" he asked, his voice gentle. Maria hesitated, chewing on her lip like she often did when she was anxious. I hope I don't mess this up," she finally said. "Mess it up? You're the heart of this. Without you, I wouldn't even know where to start," he reassured her, desperate for her to see the value she brought. But deep down, a question lingered in Jack's mind: if this was really about Maria and her community, would they accept help from someone like him? They wrapped up their meeting with smiles, but as Jack walked back to his car, doubt crept in. The thought of being seen as the outsider, the wealthy savior trying to lead the charge, was daunting. He pulled out his phone and called one of the local artists he had met at the cafe, hoping to secure participation for the event. But as he spoke, he sensed the hesitation on the other end of the line. "I appreciate the offer, but you understand that many people around here don't trust rich folks, right?" Jack inhaled sharply. Was he really that out of touch? Later that evening, he sat alone in his dark living room, the weight of the day settling on his shoulders. The mansion, once a place of comfort, felt isolating. His dreams of belonging began to feel out of reach. How could he bridge a gap he never really understood? Just when he thought he'd found a path forward, insecurity flooded his mind. Could he tip the scales and make this a true community effort, or would he wind up reinforcing barriers? With a determined nod, he looked out at the stars, reminding himself that every journey starts with a single step. But what if that step landed him on shaky ground? He'd have to face whatever was looming, but first, he had to confront the greatest obstacle of all, himself. What would it take to dissolve those barriers and create real trust? The sun peeked through the tall windows, casting a soft glow over Jack's kitchen as he poured himself a cup of coffee. The aroma filled the air, but it couldn't mask the heaviness in his chest. He had a meeting with Maria that evening, and he knew that he needed to come up with a solid game plan. He wanted this event to be more than just a fundraiser, he wanted it to be a bridge, a way to connect him to the community in a genuine way. After getting dressed, Jack picked up his notepad, flipping through the pages filled with scribbled ideas and sketches of the event layout. He wanted everything to feel authentic, yet his mind was still racing with doubts. He couldn't help thinking about the conversation with the artist from the night before. Could he really overcome the stereotype of the wealthy outsider? Later that day, he met Maria at the same cafe where they had begun plotting their endeavor. She was already there, sipping on her drink, her brow furrowed slightly in thought. The sight of her grounded him. She looked up with a warm smile as he approached, and for a moment, all his worries faded. "Hey! What's cooking in that mind of yours?" she asked, brimming with energy. "I've been thinking," he began, settling into the chair across from her, "about ways we can engage the community more. We should hold a planning meeting at the community center. Get everyone together in one room. Share the vision, hear their stories, get their input, make it truly theirs." Maria's eyes lit up. "That's brilliant. People want to be heard. They want to know their opinions matter." And just like that, a spark ignited between them. As they sketched out the details, reality set in. They'd have to work not only on the logistics but also on building trust. Jack could feel a growing sense of purpose, yet a familiar seed of doubt began to creep back in. What if they don't show up, Jack? What if they don't want to be a part of this? Maria's voice was quiet, but the worry behind it was evident. Jack leaned forward, his heart feeling the extra weight of her concern. Then we'll go to them, he said firmly, a new determination bubbling to the surface. We'll knock on doors if we need to. We'll go to schools and community organizations. No one gets left behind. As they wrapped up, a sense of hope swirled around them like the warm aroma of freshly brewed coffee. But as Maria stood to leave, she paused, looking at him with a seriousness that caught him off guard. Jack, I really believe in this. But I also believe people can see right through intentions, especially if they feel they're being taken advantage of. Just, be careful, okay? Her words hung in the air, each syllable filled with profound meaning. Jack nodded, appreciating her concern but feeling a weight settle back on his shoulders. This wouldn't be easy. That night, he returned home, the mansion looming large and cold. It felt like a castle, and the prince searching for acceptance in his own kingdom. He wandered through the grand rooms filled with untouched elegance and felt a deep contrast to the warmth he'd felt in the cafe with Maria. He grabbed his phone, scrolling through messages, when he received a text from a local friend he hadn't heard from in years. Hey, saw your name mentioned in the local paper about that event. Bold move, man. Just remember, not everyone wants your help. His heart sank. He could feel walls rising around him. The barriers he feared were real, and now he was left questioning every move, every intention. With a deep breath, he stepped outside onto the terrace, searching for answers in the night sky dotted with stars. Suddenly, among the distant lights, the thought hit him, what if there was a way to flip the script? What if he could share more than just a vision but also his vulnerabilities? With renewed purpose, he began to brainstorm his speech for the planning meeting. It should be honest, raw. Maybe then, he could show them he wasn't just a billionaire but a person struggling like they were. But before he could shape those thoughts, his phone buzzed again. This time, it was a video call from Maria, her face filling the screen, radiant and serious. Can we talk? She asked, concern etching lines on her forehead. Jack felt a surge of anticipation. What was coming next? What would they uncover together in that conversation? Jack's heart raced as Maria's familiar face filled the screen. The moment felt charged, heavy with unspoken questions. He cleared his throat, trying to mask his nerves. Hey, Maria. What's up? He asked, managing a weak smile. Hey, Jack, she said softly, her eyes searching his. I was thinking we're reaching out to the community. But maybe we should also consider what's happening behind closed doors in our own lives. He furrowed his brow, intrigued yet puzzled. What do you mean? I mean, our lives have been pretty different, she said, choosing her words carefully. You've got this, wealth and status, and I know that's part of what people see. But there are layers to everyone, right? And if we're going to bridge that gap, maybe we should start from home. Jack nodded, letting her words settle. It was true, he had never really shared much about his past. Raised in wealth but always longing for connection, he often felt like he was living a life scripted by others. Maria's perspective was refreshing. So, like sharing personal stories? Exactly. She exclaimed, her enthusiasm palpable. What if you hosted a casual brunch here at the mansion for a few locals? It doesn't have to be formal, a small gathering. Just you, some great food, and a real conversation. Let them see you. His mind raced with possibilities. A brunch? It felt rawer, more inviting than a grand event. It would give him the chance to show vulnerability, to perhaps even delve into the insecurities that gnawed at him daily. I like that idea. But what do you think locals would actually feel comfortable coming to my house? Maria smiled gently, sensing his worries. It's about creating a safe space. When they see you're real, it'll take down some barriers. Maybe you could share about feeling like an outsider too. Jack felt a lump in his throat at her words. He could already picture himself in front of a small group, opening up, maybe even speaking about the fears he carried as a child who lived in a world so far removed from the everyday struggles of most people. Just then, his phone buzzed again, breaking the moment of contemplation. It was a text from someone he hadn't heard from in a while, his old housekeeper, Mrs. Bennet. "Hoping you're well, dear. Miss you. Let me know if you need anything." The warmth flooded back into his heart. Mrs. Bennet had been like a second mother to him. She understood the weight of living in a mansion but accomplishing little more than the upkeep of it. "Maybe it's time for a different kind of guest as well," he said thoughtfully. "I think I might invite Mrs. Bennet too. She can share her insights. I wonder how she sees it all played out." Maria's eyes sparkled with encouragement. "Yes. She has seen all sides of your world. It'll add depth." As they continued to brainstorm, a wave of excitement washed over Jack. For the first time, he felt a flicker of genuine hope. This could bridge the divide. A real conversation, unfettered by pretense, could allow them to connect on another level entirely, but just as they began to finalize details, Maria's expression shifted. "Jack, there's something else too. I heard a rumor about you and a project involving the community. There are whispers that people are skeptical, some think you're only doing this for attention." His heart sank again. "I can't change that perception overnight," he said quietly, the usually soothing promise of the evening turning cooler. "It feels so helpless." Maria leaned in, piercing through his fear with her unwavering gaze. "This is exactly why you need to move forward. Show them who you really are. They need to see your heart. Trust me. Vulnerability is powerful." Jack let her words wash over him. Could it really work? Was he ready to take such an open leap? Before he could respond, she continued, "This isn't just about the event. It's about rebuilding trust, Jack. It's essential." Her conviction ignited something deep within him. Maybe he was more than just a billionaire with a black card. Maybe he could be a catalyst for change both in others' lives and his own. "All right," he said finally, his voice steadier now. "Let us do it. A brunch it is." As the call ended, he stood with a new sense of purpose, overlooking the vast expanse of his mansion. And for the first time, it didn't seem like a fortress, but a refuge. But just as hope began to blossom, another buzz from his phone doused it with a touch of dread, an alert from the local news. "Billionaire Jack Ellis event raises eyebrows. Is there a hidden agenda?" His stomach dropped. The challenge ahead felt monumental. How would he navigate this storm? The next chapter would demand more than just courage. What truths were waiting to be uncovered? Jack stared at his phone, the screen glowing ominously in the dim light of his study. The headline mocked him, echoing the doubts swirling in his mind. Was this truly the start of something meaningful, or just a spectacle meant to grab attention? He clenched his fists, frustration tightening his chest. He didn't want to be known just for his wealth, he wanted to be seen for who he was. He glanced out the large windows at the sprawling grounds, the trees swaying softly in the night. Each flickering light within the mansion felt lonely. Jack sat down heavily in the plush chair, his thoughts racing. The idea of the brunch was thrilling and terrifying at the same time. It wasn't just an event, it was a leap into vulnerability that felt foreign to him. With a deep breath, he scrolled back through Mrs. Bennet's texts, her warm words bringing a flicker of comfort as he read them over again. He decided then and there he'd call her. Hearing her voice might ground him, provide him with some clarity on how to navigate this tumultuous moment. "Mrs. Bennet?" he said as she picked up, her voice soft and welcoming through the line. "Jack, dear. How lovely to hear from you," she replied, the warmth in her tone wrapping around him like a favorite old blanket. "I need your advice. I'm planning a brunch with some locals, and I fear people might see it as just a publicity stunt. How do I show them that it's more than that? That I'm serious about wanting to connect?" There was a slight pause before she spoke, and he could almost feel her gentle smile. "Oh, my dear boy, people can sense sincerity. Share your stories with them. Open up about your heart, the struggles you faced. They will respond to your honesty. It can be hard to let people in, but that is what they will appreciate." Her words hung in the air, resonating deeply with him. She understood him better than most, perhaps better than he understood himself. "Did you ever find that kind of connection with those who worked in the mansion?" he asked, feeling an unexpected wave of nostalgia wash over him. "Absolutely," she laughed softly, "and it took time. But every moment spent together, every shared meal, every laugh wasn't just a duty. It became real, Jack. You have to be willing to be seen in your rawest form. That's where the magic lives." Jack closed his eyes, visualizing the brunch. The people sitting around him, sharing stories. His mind drifted to the forgotten laughter in the mansion's kitchen, the vibrant conversations that once made it feel alive. "Thank you, Mrs. Bennet. I'll think about what you've said," he replied, his heart lighter. After they hung up, he felt something change within him. This brunch could be his chance, a platform to share not just who he was, but how deeply he cared. But just as he started making a list of what needed to be done, another text buzzed through, this time from Maria. "Jack, I found out some local journalists are looking into the rumors. They might show up at the brunch. Just a heads up." His stomach sank again. Was this really what he wanted? To be under the scrutinizing gaze of reporters? Or was this an opportunity to reshape his narrative? "What if they see me fail? What if they twist my words?" he muttered to himself in frustration. Then, as if echoing Mrs. Bennet's words, he reminded himself how crucial this moment was. Perhaps this was the culmination of all his fears and hopes. Perhaps this was his moment to redefine everything, not just for the locals, but for himself. With newfound determination, he began outlining the details: who to invite, what to serve. He was crafting a story where he could show not just vulnerability, but strength in the face of doubt. This was the beginning of not just a brunch, but a journey. Jack took a deep breath, rallying his thoughts, his fingers tapping out invitations to be sent. But just as he hit send, another notification chimed. A tweet from a rival billionaire, mocking his efforts to connect. Jack Ellis might want to try and get his life together before planning events. PR stunt. The same earlier doubts threatened to drown him again. This was going to be harder than he thought. Jack gritted his teeth. Would he let them define his intentions? Or would he rise above it? With the sun rising outside his window, illuminating his once gloomy surroundings, Jack felt his resolve strengthen. He'd take the plunge. No more hiding. With every invitation sent, he knew he was looking his critics in the eye. He was ready to show them his heart. But, as doubt creased his brow, he couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was only just beginning. What doubts lay hidden, waiting to break through? The sun broke through the heavy clouds, spilling its light over the pristine grounds, as Jack paced the marble floors of his mansion. With every step, his heart pounded like a drum, a mix of excitement and anxiety. He felt the weight of the upcoming brunch press down on him, each invitation sent solidifying a new purpose, yet layered with fear. He thought back to Mrs. Bennet's voice, her calm wisdom a warm echo in his mind. Was he really ready to step into the spotlight, to be seen? Was this about connection, or just making a name for himself? As he moved through the hallway, the portraits of his ancestors seemed to watch, judging him as if they could sense his turmoil. His phone buzzed again, this time it was a text from an old friend. "Hey Jack, heard about the brunch. What's the theme? Can we dress up?" Another notification followed, a local community member commenting on the tease of an extravagant affair. Jack felt his stomach twist. Dress up? He thought, swirling for a moment in an internal debate. Who was he to dictate an occasion? Part of him wanted to suggest something casual, down to earth, but his own background felt like an elephant in the room. What would that look like in front of the press? The reporter's eyes flitting from his tailored suit to the mismatched jeans of the locals. Would they see past the fabric to who he really was? Pulling himself together, Jack grabbed a steaming cup of coffee and walked outside onto the terrace. The air was fresh, the scent of earth and blooming flowers grounding him. He needed to shift his focus. This brunch wasn't just a risk, it was a chance to rewrite his own story while redefining the relationship he had with his home and community. As the day went on, he shuffled through preparations, picking a menu that felt personal yet inviting. He thought of the warm quiches Mrs. Bennet would make, the homemade bread that seemed to crisp just right. Each culinary choice tied into a part of him. Maybe if he let the food do the talking, he could ease the tension of his own vulnerability. Just as he pinned the last of his ideas on the whiteboard, he heard a soft knock at the door. It was Maria, her concerned expression greeting him. "Jack, we need to talk about the press. They're already buzzing more than we anticipated." "What do you mean?" His heart raced as he took a step closer, searching Maria's eyes for the truth. "The gossip is spiraling. They're saying you're desperate for approval, and that this brunch is just a mechanism to regain your image." Anger flared inside him. Desperate? Jack wanted nothing more than to connect. Was that so wrong? Why do they twist everything? He exclaimed, hands clenched into fists. "All I want is to build bridges, not walls." A moment passed before Maria spoke softly. "This does change the game. But more importantly, it's an opportunity. Are you ready to show them who you really are?" The question hung heavy in the air, filling the space between them. Jack's chest tightened at the thought. Could he reveal himself? Maria continued, "Remember Mrs. Bennet? Speak from the heart. Who are you when the cameras are not rolling? What matters to you?" Jack took a deep breath, images flooding his mind: the laughter of children, the pulse of the local community, the joy in shared meals. It wasn't about glamour, it was about connection. "It's about my heart," he finally said, voice finding its strength. "Exactly," she replied, a determined gleam in her eye. "Go out there and own your story. Don't let them write it for you." Just then, Jack's phone buzzed again, the screen lighting up with a new message. He hesitated before looking, a flicker of hope in his chest. But as he read the words, his breath caught. The tweet was even harsher than the last small-town gossip, echoing louder, hinting he was just indulging in a game of self-pity. Jack's heart sank. It felt like a blow right before stepping into the ring. Was he really ready for this? As he faced Maria again, determination mingled with uncertainty. What impact could this brunch truly have? Would he rise above the noise, or would it drown him out? One thing was clear the moment he stepped onto that stage: a test awaited him, one that might change everything he believed about himself and his place in the world. What secrets would he unveil, and how would they alter the very fabric of his identity? Jack stared at his phone, the harsh tweet echoing in his mind. Each word slashed at his resolve, and for a moment, he hesitated. He wanted to set the record straight. But then doubts flooded in. Was he really ready to expose himself to this kind of scrutiny? "Jack," Maria said gently, breaking through his spiral of thoughts, "you can't let them dictate who you are." He let out a shaky breath, the weight of uncertainty heavy in his chest. "I know. But what if I fail? What if they only see the billionaire and not the real me?" Maria stepped closer, her voice steady and warm. "Let them see both. You're more than a title. You're a person who cares. Just be genuine. That's what people are hungry for." He nodded slowly, as if trying to absorb her words. "But what if I show my heart and they twist it? What if it gets lost in all the noise?" Maria smiled softly, her eyes filled with kindness. "Then you fight back with love, Jack. Show them who you truly are. That's your strength." In that moment, clarity flickered within him. He thought of Mrs. Bennet and the years she had poured into community, into cooking and sharing meals. Food had a way of breaking down barriers. Maybe that was the key. All right, he said, determination rising. I'll do my best to connect through the brunch. As the clock ticked down, Jack's nerves began to settle. He dug deeper into what the brunch would mean not just for his image, but for those who would gather there. It wasn't just a meal, it was a symbol. A chance to break bread, share stories, and create a shared space of honesty among the attendees. The day of the brunch dawned, sunlight streaming through the large windows of his mansion. Jack moved through the kitchen, checking on the chefs, his excitement growing. The quiches were golden brown, the scent of freshly baked bread wafting through the air. He wanted everything to reflect who he was, a blend of elegance and simplicity. Guests began to arrive, laughter bubbling through the halls. Jack greeted them, feeling a sense of camaraderie starting to form. The cameras flashed, and while the press loomed, the whispers grew less important as he focused on the guests. Each interaction reminded him of the very essence of community, the warmth of connection. As he stood before everyone, ready to speak, he noticed a familiar face in the crowd, a woman he had met years before, a humble maid named Clara. Their eyes locked, and he felt a jolt of recognition. She had always been kind, offering encouraging words when he felt lost. "Welcome, everyone," Jack called out, trying to keep his voice steady. "Thank you for coming today. This brunch isn't just about making connections, it's about building them. It's about truth." He paused, taking in the room full of smiling faces and hopeful hearts. Each person had their own story, their own struggles. "I want you all to know that I'm not just here as a businessman, but as someone who values community. Who values all of you." The crowd was silent, anticipation hanging in the air. Jack glanced at Clara, her expression both surprised and proud. "If I've learned anything, it's that real wealth comes from the love and support we give each other, not from the money or status that we hold. Today is a testament to that." His words soared into the air, and he felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Suddenly, a voice broke through the applause, calling out from the back. "And what do you have to say to those who call you desperate?" The room froze. Jack's heart raced. This was the moment when the whole brunch could pivot. How would he respond? Would this be the test that defined him? He took a deep breath, locking eyes with Maria for reassurance. In this tumultuous sea of opinions and insecurities, he had to stand tall. "That's the whole point," he said. "What I'm doing here today is about being real. Let us share who we are, not just who we seem to be." As the murmurs of support swelled around him, Jack felt a surge of hope. For once, authenticity didn't feel like a liability. It felt liberating, but as the applause echoed, he caught Clara's gaze, and a new question sparked in his mind. What other truths was he yet to confront about himself, about his past, about what connections truly meant? The brunch hadn't even reached its peak, but already, Jack could feel the shift beginning. Would he finally embrace all parts of his journey? As the conversations continued to flow, one thought lingered: what was next to come in this unfolding story? Jack stepped down from the podium, adrenaline still coursing through him. The room buzzed with renewed energy, laughter and conversation filling the air. He felt lighter, as if he'd shed a skin he didn't need anymore. Still, there was an undercurrent of tension, the reminder of that sharp question. It lingered like a shadow that he moved away from the crowd, seeking a moment to breathe. At the edge of the room, Clara stood by the refreshment table, her hands fiddling with her apron. She caught his eye again, her expression a mix of pride and something else he couldn't quite place. "Jack." Her voice cut through the noise, grounding him. "You spoke beautifully." "Thanks, Clara," he said, his voice softening. He stepped closer. "What are you doing here?" "I came with a friend who works for the catering team," she replied, glancing around as if to make sure no one overheard. "But I guess I also wanted to see what the big deal was about you." Her eyes sparkled with genuine curiosity, not the calculated gaze of the media or elitist onlookers. Just clarity. "Well, you're here now," he smiled, and his heart felt an unexpected tug. "What do you think?" She hesitated for a moment, choosing her words carefully. It's nice. I mean, this isn't a typical event for someone like you. Jack chuckled, the tension in his shoulders easing further. What do you mean by someone like me? You know. A billionaire, she said lightly, shrugging. You're, a little different from what? The stereotype? He challenged, half smirking. You can say it. I'm not just a suit and tie. Clara smiled, though her eyes showed that she understood the weight of that image all too well. I just meant I've seen how people can treat you because of money. It's refreshing to see you try to connect like this. Her honesty was a balm to Jack's soul. It's hard sometimes, he admitted. Especially with the expectations everyone has. But I want to show that there's so much more to me than what's on the surface. And what would that be? Clara pressed, a smile playing on her lips. Jack realized how much he enjoyed this banter. He thought of his parents, their love, the rare moments they shared as a family, even the struggles he had to overcome to get where he was today. I want to be known for the things that matter, he said earnestly. The work I do in the community, how I care for people like you, Clara. Her eyes lit up. You really mean that? I do. A comfortable silence settled between them, brief but meaningful. It was the kind of moment that made Jack wish they could talk forever. But the brunch was still unfolding, and reality beckoned him back. A ring of laughter exploded nearby, drawing his attention. Adjusting his stance, Jack took a deep breath and straightened himself. I better get back. Lots to do, he murmured, reluctant to part. Wait. Clara's voice cut through the crowd once again. If you're serious about connecting with people, maybe start right here. Don't forget to be you. He nodded, her encouragement enveloping him like a warm embrace. Don't worry. I won tea. With a final smile, he turned back toward the party. As laughter erupted again, he felt a sense of purpose. The whispers from the media, the doubts in his mind, they faded in that moment, replaced with a drive to share his truth, but then, just as he found his footing, a sudden hush spread through the crowd. A man had stood up, one Jack didn't recognize, but who commanded attention. The air grew thick with expectation as he began to speak. Jack's heart raced. Who was this man, and what was he about to reveal? The unknown man cleared his throat, and every head in the room turned toward him. Jack felt tension bloom in his chest. For all the strides he hoped to make through this brunch, a sudden sense of dread gripped him. Had this event taken a turn for the worse? I'd like to say something, the man proclaimed, his voice ringing through the hall. I've lived in this community for years, working side by side with folks who've struggled. The idea of a billionaire hosting a gala to gain acceptance is, well, it doesn't sit right with a lot of us. A hush fell over the crowd like a blanket, and Jack's stomach twisted. But instead of getting defensive, he felt the urge to listen. To be that open person Maria encouraged him to be. Thank you for sharing that, Jack spoke up, stepping forward. His heart was racing, palms sweaty. I get it. I know I come with a lot of baggage, and it's easy to throw stones from the sidelines. But what I want to create here is real connection. I hope we can talk honestly even about this. The man narrowed his eyes but nodded, a flicker of respect turning his skepticism towards something more tangible. How do we know this isn't just another PR push? He challenged, crossing his arms. Your people cut back the programs we need, and suddenly, here you are. Jack interrupted, feeling the weight of countless others who might think just like him. You're right. I've made mistakes. I've relied on my wealth without considering the repercussions. Maria opened my eyes to the broader picture, what it's like for families struggling day in and day out. I've spent so long wrapped up in numbers and schemes that I forgot the heartbeat of this community comes from the people. A murmur rippled through the crowd as Jack's honesty resonated, crackling with emotion he hadn't shared before. A sense of emotional urgency gripped him. He wasn't just here to talk, he was here to listen. I want to work with you. I want to hear your stories. Help me understand what you really need, and I'll do my best to help you get it. The man's expression softened, and a wave of shared warmth began to build in the room. The barriers atop the hill of skepticism were melting away. Jack paused, searching the sea of faces. This brunch isn't about me and my reputation, it's a plea for cooperation. I need your input, your honesty, and I'm willing to be vulnerable. To let you see what I'm truly made of. Maria stepped forward, the light from her smile cutting through the tension. Exactly. We're here to create a bond. You can hold us accountable, and we can hold Jack accountable too. Real change happens when we come together. Laughter and applause roared back to life as more people began to nod in agreement. Jack felt the swell of a collective breath being exhaled. This was it. This was what he'd been seeking all along, realness. After weeks of uncertainty, Jack was feeling a true transformation spark within while reflecting on his journey and where he stood now. That's why I've invited all of you today, he continued, a newfound lightness lifting his heart. Because it isn't just about my heart, it's about all of our hearts together, finding ways to help one another. The cheers erupted, and the man who originally challenged him wore a sheepish smile. Seems like you might just turn out alright after all, Mr. Ellis. With that, Jack knew he wanted this connection to take root. From that point on, he vowed to step beyond the walls of his mansion more often, bridging the divide with shared stories and laughter. His empire could become a force for good, built not on power but on empathy and genuine connection. As the evening unfolded, Jack's heart swelled with gratitude and determination. They exchanged ideas, forged bonds, and soon laughter filled the halls of a mansion that felt more like a community center. After the crowd began to disperse, Clara lingered near the entrance with a light in her eyes, already excited by possibilities that had sprung forth. Looks like the real work is just beginning, she grinned. With a heart full of hope, Jack knew this was just the start of an incredible journey, one that promised fulfillment beyond anything wealth had ever brought him. And as he stepped through the threshold of the mansion, he glanced back with a radiant smile, knowing his story was now woven into the tapestry of the community that had once felt so distant. Now, it was time to build something lasting. Now, he felt truly alive, and you can be a part of this journey too. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Seriously, it makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. What transformations do you see in your own life? Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.